The bottom of my foot is killing me. Just one problem. It's gone. I'm Stefanina, and let's talk about phantom limb pain.
Phantom limb pain is a real pain in the foot, specifically the dead foot, unless you're an arm amputee. This is how I lost my arm. In which case, I hope your ghost limbs are kind enough to lend a hand. Grumpy phantom limbs are bad enough. What's worse is when you make mistakes that make them furious. Enter me. I had phantom sensation from the moment I woke up from amputation, but it didn't start hurting until day 5.
It's the end of day 5. I'm still in rehab, and I'm definitely getting some phantom pain now. It feels like my non-existent leg has been squeezed and has a tingling sensation. I feel a lot of pressure by my non-existent ankle and the toes. I suspect we'll get other varieties of phantom pain. I've heard of things like feeling like a shock or a zap or a cattle prod. Haven't experienced that yet. It's kind of a general pressure and aching in a foot that no longer exists.
Don't worry, those sensations are coming. You see, phantom limbs evolve over time. What started out as a sense of pressure became nuanced.
So my foot, as in my dead foot, it just feels like my toes, my foot are in this position, only scrunched. Feels like it's, I don't know, in really tight shoes. It's making me think like ballerina shoes, and I am definitely not a ballerina. So, like ballerinas could totally do taekwondo if they just like kick people while they spin.
Psst, clicking the like button would help me feel better about my dead foot.
If I'm being haunted by the ghost of my dead foot, and I'm the one who killed that dead foot, it seems fair it's allowed to haunt me. Different sensations for different amounts. Getting crushed, I feel that one. Numb and tingly. Right now, it's pretty intense. It's not always this intense, but sometimes it's worse. Phantom limb pain, not cool. Feels like my nerves are twinging. Foot's getting crushed, my ankle's getting crushed, and my foot's asleep. Overall, don't recommend cutting off your leg for the funsies of it.
Every day my phantom foot was different than the day before.
It's midnight on the 6th night since amputation, and I'm figuring out more about this phantom limb stuff I've heard so much about. It feels like someone has mummified my non-existent foot, like wrapped it up with tight linen. So it feels like it's in a restricted space, and it's tingling and just a sense of pressure. It's weird. Hard to sleep, and sometimes my other foot just kind of automatically goes to try to rub it, make it settle down, but there's nothing there.
Pain can be highly motivating.
My foot is getting stabbed.
When things intensify, so do your efforts to make it stop.
Something's got to change.
My efforts started out fairly typical. Being in a rehabilitation center, I asked for meds. This is really saying something since I usually avoid medication. I didn't have pain meds during childbirth and avoided pain pills after my many surgeries.
Oh boy. It feels like my foot's being stabbed. It's like it's got an electrical current pulsing through it, like having broken bones where there are no bones. Missing leg is being squeezed really tight, forcing the foot in a weird position. They gave me more meds. They tripled my dosage to see if that would help, but it is still mighty strong. And the meds should have kicked in. It's been over an hour. It's not working. I need a different med, but in order to do that, we'd have to gradually taper off the current med and then start tapering in the new med. With some medications, you can't just stop cold turkey without causing problems.
I was exhausted from pain keeping me up every night, and I really wanted a break.
I can't sleep. My phantom limb pain is just... it's doing a thing tonight. Stumpy is grumpy tonight. I feel like we've taken a step backwards, literally. And I pushed the nurse's button, and we'll see if they can get me some meds
I'd heard that in some cases, medications don't provide significant relief for some amputees right after amputation. That proved true for both the surgical pain in my actual leg and also the phantom pain. Considering that in the past I've had the experience of being one of those lucky people with rare but serious side effects to common medications, I wasn't too surprised when the pain meds didn't help me much, though I sincerely hope they work better for most new amputees.
In case I haven't mentioned it, I am not a medical professional. I'm not a physical therapist. None of what I say is medical advice. I'm just telling my story.
When medication didn't provide immediate relief, I took a long, hard look in the mirror. Literally, it's called mirror therapy. The New England Journal of Medicine had an article about a study showing that when done properly and regularly, mirror therapy can reduce phantom pain. The downside is that it can take 4 weeks.
The phantom strikes again. Like legit right this second.
Not quite the quick fix I was hoping for, but future relief is better than no relief, so it was time to give mirror therapy a try.
Why are mirrors so heavy?
Step 1. Obtain mirror. I snagged mine from the rehab center's physical therapy room. Pro tip, find one that doesn't weigh a ton.
Step 2. Don't get crushed by the mirror. After the totally not difficult task of dragging around a heavy mirror while you have no leg, you're good to go. You can even watch yourself film in the mirror.
If you'd like a legit mirror therapy tutorial, instead of watching me crush myself with a mega heavy mirror,
how much does this mirror weigh anyhow?
Tell me in the comments.
Did you know you could also grow a second head?
The variety of phantom pain sensations was increasing, along with the frequency and intensity. Things were getting tough, especially at night.
I'm feeling a very steady buzz of electricity. It feels like lightning in the clouds, just like building up for a strike. Like it's just energy gathering, building. I have no clue when it's going to strike, but I bet you anything, you can tell when it does.
Many doctors will tell you that phantom pain isn't truly worse at night. It's just that your mind is less distracted by other things. My ghost foot disagrees, but doctors insist it's kind of like how a whisper is easier to hear in a quiet room than in a noisy crowd. Pain is more noticeable when nothing else is going on. One doctor said he thinks one other factor comes into play: position. If there's anything off in your back, then different positions, such as lying down, could be putting extra pressure on the nerves running down to your leg. I still wonder whether there's something else at play, because even if I was distracting myself and didn't change position, my phantom limb always started to get worse later in the afternoon, intensifying through the evening and climaxing at night. Maybe ghost feet are like vampires and simply love the night. Who knows?
11 days post-op, and what is the pain like? Bad? In the first week, it was mostly like the actual stump that was hurting. At this point, it's the phantom limb pain that's bugging me every second of every day. Ouch.
The phantom pain was really intense, but with a little effort, I'm sure I can make it even worse. Before amputation, I'd had years of surgeries and limited mobility, so the muscles in my leg were already very atrophied. While recovering in the rehab center, I had physical and occupational therapy multiple times a day. I was with one of the newer therapists when I expressed concern about how my muscles were wasting in my left leg. He thought for a moment, then said Russian stimulation might help. Our concerns were valid, but our timing was deplorable. Over the coming days, my phantom pain soared to new heights.
I'm pretty sure the definition of phantom pain is being haunted by the dead body part. I feel haunted. Kept me up all night.
You're probably faster than I was to see the correlation between starting nerve stimulation and increased phantom pain, but you're probably not as drugged up and sleep deprived as I was.
My brain is so fuzzy from being tired.
Because sleep definitely wasn't happening, not with that much phantom pain.
I'm so sleepy.
Not having chopped off limbs previously, I had nothing to compare the experience to and thought what I was experiencing was normal until my surgeon checked in on me. When I mentioned the Russian stimulation, he said I'd just put my phantom limb on steroids. Oops. In retrospect, sending an electrical current through freshly severed nerves wasn't the smartest thing we could have done. Live and learn, I guess. Stimulation therapy stopped immediately, but the damage was done. My phantom limb was so flared up that I couldn't sleep. Every time I would would get close, my phantom limb would wait for the exact moment when I began transitioning from consciousness to unconsciousness. Then, pow! Mega taser blast to the dead foot.
It's hard to keep my eyes open. I feel really drugged up. I'd be asleep if I didn't hurt this much. So it's weird. So drugged up, I can't stay awake. I'm in too much pain to fall asleep.
Every time I nodded off, I got zapped. One of my doctors thinks this is because the nervous system does a sort of systems check as you fall asleep. Makes sense to make sure everything is in order before you zone out. Wouldn't want to fall asleep if you're in danger, right? So when Lefty was discovered missing in action, my nervous system kindly let me know with an electric zap. I did everything I could think of to convince my ghost foot to simmer down. I tried mirror therapy like the life of my dead foot depended on it. No improvement. We adjusted medications. No luck. So I increased the medications. I still got tasered every time I started to drift off. By this time, it'd been days since I'd slept. No naps, no dozing, nothing. In the words of my primary care physician,
"You're on enough drugs to tranquilize a horse. How are you still awake?"
if you got tasered every time you started to fall asleep, you'd be awake too. Oh, and if you've got any horse tranquilizers, I'll take them. I began Googling, how many days can you go without sleep before you die? It was a valid concern.
Okay, all that sounds really gloomy. And if you're facing amputation, sorry you watched this because it probably scared you, but maybe it's good to have a realistic expectation of what recovery is like. We'll be okay. We'll be alright. It won't last like this at this level forever, and despite the level of pain I'm in right this second, I'm convinced that there's a bright future ahead, even if it takes more suffering than I'd like to bear. I think it's worth it. For the rest of my life, I'll be able to better empathize with people who go through painful things, and I'll have some degree of understanding of their situation. Whatever you're going through, hang in there. Don't give up.
They say time heals all wounds, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Though it wasn't much comfort right after amputation, I believe time was the single greatest factor in improving my phantom limb pain. During rehab, I coped by learning how to make videos and making friends with the staff. There were so many great people. When I got home, I distracted myself by single-handedly or single-footedly refinishing cabinets. Basically, if you can't find a way to get rid of the pain, then you find a way to cope. Right around 8 weeks after amputation, my phantom pain turned a corner and became more manageable. Every experience is unique, so please, if you're an amputee, put your experience in the comments so people facing amputation can hear a range of stories to help them mentally prepare. During my first year post-amputation, my phantom pain improved until I reached a point where I rarely had any phantom sensation at all. Feeling nothing felt awesome. Then my life got turned upside down when a disease took over my remaining foot. Suddenly, my phantom pain was back with a vengeance. It's something I'm currently struggling with. However, I just learned about a surprising cause of phantom pain and how to start improving it. I'm even starting to see results. So click the bell if you want to hear about it. Or if you're watching this in the future, here it is.